morning and welcome to a VLOGnukkah night 3.
Yeah, I need a crayon.
You need a crayon? Okay. Things have gotten a little topsy-turvy here. We've got, where'd our crayons go? Oh, there they are. We've got one little one homesick, another one taking a nap, and basically the house has just gotten out of control, but we're just gonna pause all that while we're coloring. And I thought I would actually jump into a topic that I've been meaning to jump into because I get asked about it so often, and that is, what is the difference and what are the similarities between Hanukkah and Christmas? Is Hanukkah the Jewish Christmas? Is Christmas the Jewish Hanukkah? Let's jump in. I'm gonna sit here in the dining room where it's nice and clean and chat with you all about it. Hanukkah and Christmas. So we know that they often fall around the same time of the year and actually sometimes even overlap. And often people sometimes think that Hanukkah is the Jewish Christmas, or that Christmas is the Jewish Hanukkah, because of course Judaism was around first. So I wanted to chat with you guys about this and sort of shed some light into why people think that they're similar, but how different they actually are. And I wanted to start with something really funny, which is there's an account on Instagram called Hanukkah Fails, and it's all about like when retail tries to make Hanukkah things for Jewish people by just making like Christmas things blue and white, or just doing silly things like that. And they came out with their own stuff, and their like tagline is death, destruction, and dreidels because the real meaning of Hanukkah, the real historical significance behind the holidays is not all light and love and all of that. It's about a war, about death and destruction, and also dreidels. Really fascinating to dive into the historical significance of Hanukkah and also how it's celebrated today and how it's a little bit Christmasified, especially in America. Hanukkah falls on the 25th as well, but of Kislev, the Hebrew month. And because the Hebrew month goes by the lunar calendar, by the moon, it falls at a different time of the English calendar every year. And so sometimes you'll see it overlap with Christmas, sometimes it doesn't. So if we look back thousands of years ago, even before Judaism, to ancient peoples, there was always this celebration around winter time. And you'll see that like going back to pagan religions, ancient Judaism, and even people before that, there were celebrations of the harvest and then celebrations of light during winter time. And Hanukkah was always a very minor Jewish holiday. It's not mentioned in the Torah, in the Old Testament, and our high holidays, our most important holidays of the year, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Pesach, Shavuot, our pilgrimage holidays where ancient Jewish people would literally go to our temple in Jerusalem. There would be all sorts of ceremonies, sacrifices, like hugely insignificant events that would happen on those holidays, did not take place during winter, during the Hanukkah time. But later on, holidays were added to the Jewish calendar as significant historical events happened. So for example, Purim was about when the Jews were almost expelled from Persia, and Hanukkah is about a revolt against the Hashmonean or Greek king Antiochus by the Jewish people. And they formed an army, a guerrilla warfare army of Maccabees, and they protected their temple, and this was a great triumph of our military might and how our people were saved, but it obviously has nothing to do with Christmas. So as I'm sure you know, Christmas is about the birth of Jesus. And what's really interesting about the timing, like I mentioned in the winter holidays, is if you look into the origins of pagan religions and the celebration of Saturnalia and all of those winter festivals, there are some thoughts that when modern Christianity was being created by the church, that they wanted something to fall during this winter time, during this time when people were already celebrating things. So the idea was to celebrate the birth of Jesus and to remind everyone that Jesus was a real man, to celebrate his physical birth, and to do it during this time when people are celebrating anyways. And from a historical context, it caught on. So the events of Hanukkah, this revolt against the Greek king Antiochus, actually took place an entire century before Jesus was even born, and multiple centuries before the holiday of Christmas was beginning to be celebrated. So there's also this interesting historical timeline of when these events all took place and then when people started celebrating them. So now let's bring it into modern times, and around the 1800s is when the holidays as we know them today started to look like we know them today. So things like Santa Claus and St. Nicholas got added to the Christmas holiday, and things like presents and gift giving got added to the Hanukkah holiday. And really where you see the two holidays come together is in modern day America, because the Jews from Europe were extremely poor. So the idea of like gift giving, you know, lights and decorations, none of that existed in the shtetls of Europe or any time before that. Hanukkah was a very minor holidays. They would light candles, they would play dreidel, they would talk about the historical significance of the holiday. But once the Jewish people came to America, settled in the cities, and gained some wealth, then there was this idea of being able to celebrate and assimilate within American culture. And at the same time, the celebration of Christmas was on the rise as well, with commercialization, gift giving, Santa Claus, and all of that. So they sort of came up together, and in a way the Jewish people wanted to find a way to be part of this American culture of gift giving and decorating and celebrating around this time. So still today in Europe and in other parts of the world, Jewish people do not celebrate Hanukkah to the degree that you'll see it celebrated in America. And I get so many comments and complaints that stores anywhere else around the world have nothing for Hanukkah, like absolutely nothing. I still get complaints in the US, obviously, in areas where there's not a lot of Jewish people, that stores don't have Hanukkah stuff. But around the world, there's literally nothing. And Jews around the world do not celebrate Hanukkah to the degree that it's celebrated in America in terms of this decorating and gift giving and all of that. They light the candles, they play dreidel, and they eat the sufganiyot. That's a tradition you'll see in Israel today. There's lots of jelly donuts, and there's a little bit of that commercialization. Like there's so many Judaica stores and Jewish stores that they've adopted a little bit of that, but in the rest of the world, not so much. So the story of Hanukkah and Christmas sort of coming together is really an American story, and really a story of commercialization and how to be inclusive. So it's not a negative story, especially not in my mind, because as companies saw that Jewish people wanted to be included in this wintertime ideal of celebrating and being happy, they started putting out more Hanukkah stuff. And personally, as you would know if you've been watching my channel, I love that. Of course, there are Jewish people who are kind of rebelling against this idea that Hanukkah should be celebrated in any way that resembles Christmas, and that's totally fine. That's, you know, you do you. For me, I'm the opposite. To me, it's like there's nothing wrong with making the most of any Jewish holiday. And in the same way that traditions change over centuries and where you are located, the same thing happens with every holiday. So to me, even though Hanukkah is not of major, you know, significance spiritually to us, and you know, it's not in the Torah, and it's one of the few Jewish holidays where you can work during the holiday. So unlike Shabbat and the high holidays where you are not allowed to work or cook or do any of that, Hanukkah you are allowed to. It's kind of allowed us to do, you know, whatever we want to make the most of the holiday, and I just love that. So I hope this has been helpful and interesting for anyone who's always wondered about this. The last question I'll answer on this topic is, why are the colors of Hanukkah blue and white? So the traditional colors of a talit that Jewish people wear to pray, a prayer shawl, are blue and white. They're also the colors of the state of Israel's flag. So there's nothing in the Torah or, you know, significance that says obviously that Hanukkah should be blue and white, but it's kind of developed and, you know, grown as a way to separate it from the Christmas colors of green and red, in the same way that like Jesus didn't have to do anything with green and red. It's just something that's happened culturally over time and has become like synonymous with the holiday, if that makes sense. Okay, I'm gonna go get the usual tissues and everything else that my little one needs for his little cold. My baby's gonna wake up soon, so I hope you guys have liked this vlog. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up to let me know. Stay tuned for more Hanukkah content coming soon, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.